This is definitely something I think about in my own world building when I write like my own like original writing. Like the school system and like the education system that actually works really hard to solidify what your characters know in the present day, because that's how they were taught. And I feel like, again, this wasn't thought about very well, because we have characters who are like, Feyre is literally like illiterate versus Nesta and Elaine, who can read, and they're not that much older than Feyre. So like, it stands to reason that Feyre should have learned how to read within that time, because Feyre, while she wasn't rich for as long as Nesta and Elaine were, she definitely was of the age to have learned how to read by then. So it's always very weird to me when people are like, oh, why didn't Nesta and Elaine teach Feyre how to read? When, one, Nesta and Elaine weren't that much older than Feyre. Their reading probably wasn't up to snuff to teach their little sister how to read at that point. But then furthermore, we don't really have a sense that there is schooling in this world to begin with. So how did Nesta and Elaine learn how to read? Like, these things matter. While the human lands, I feel like they're just every man for themselves. Like, they don't, like, they are just too worried about surviving to teach any of their kids how to read. I think with the other courts, they must do it similarly, but in different isolated systems. Like, for example, the Night Court, I feel like how they handle teaching their kids is very different in Valaris versus the Court of Nightmares versus Illyria. I feel like Illyria has a much lower literacy rate than the Court of Nightmares, definitely lower than Valaris. And if that wasn't the case, I feel like Sarah needed to elaborate on that a little more, because for everybody to be so angry about Feyre not learning how to read, if Prythian doesn't have like a high literacy rate, it doesn't make sense for them to be upset about Feyre not learning how to read, because nobody knows how to read. For them to be so up in arms about Feyre, how many other illiterate Feyres are out there in this world? You also should know that I have been thinking about this for the Neris fanfic that I've been writing, and I more than likely will be touching on the Prythian school system in my version of A Court of Silver Flames. I'm just saying. It's on AO3, and chapter 5 is out and chapter 6 is being worked on as of today.